Um,
It
says
seems to be live on YouTube.
says I'm
No,
live.
not live on YouTube.
Says I'm live. I have this every time, and when I go back to play it on YouTube, we were live, but it takes a minute or so to.
Now we're live. There we go.
There we go. And welcome to Pixel Slapper. I'm just going to check we're live on Rumble, and we are live on Rumble. So, welcome everyone. This is a gaming conversation with friends back once again with the Renegade Master. I think about that every time now. I say it, and I can't help but say it now.
I told you, it's part and parcel. And once you hear it, you can't get rid of it.
Exactly. See Masuku in chat. Mr. VJ is in chat as well.
Hello.
So,
Qualities of intros.
So how are you doing, VJ?
I'm good. And ready to see you steer all the topics really neatly today, because you need to be commander and leader today. Make sure we don't go off track.
Masuku can always jump in if you're free. No worries.
Never gonna happen.
That's genuine. If you want to jump in, mate, you can. So now you completed Yakuza 0. You have.
He's part of the family again, is he?
He always has been. But I don't know if he's free or not. But yeah, you're doing well then. What's the heat like? Is it raining? Is it hot?
Actually, hasn't been above probably 17 or 18 degrees for the last couple of weeks. But next week it's going to jump up to about 90, which is about 32 or 33 degrees. So I'm enjoying the cool British weather here.
Nice. We haven't got any. Well, there's talk of a heat wave coming back to the UK in about a week or two.
Oh, that's
Well, that would make sense then.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping it doesn't, but apparently it's meant to. There's meant to be some heat wave. I don't know when.
Yeah. Well, I mean, currently we just had thunderstorms and lightning and rain, so that does prelude a hotter climate.
Definitely does. But yes, Masuku's in chat talking about 0. Here's Yakuza 0. But how are you doing, Masuku? Not Masuku. How are you doing, Removal Sanity? At least I'm not getting you mixed.
Masuku. Yay!
He's moved from Animated Evil to Masuku now.
See, this is what's so good about this. I get completely forgotten, and whoever's in chat basically takes over my title for Stubbs. I'm just this random person that just turns up now and then. I can't complain. Oh, we've had a pretty good week. It's I said over here. I've just had like light thunder and lightning and rain for the last 3 or 4 hours. So that could be prelude to a bit of a heat wave, which apparently we're starting to get. Apart from that, yeah, I've been just playing some games and trying to get a few reviews out with the help of VJ.
Oh, VJ is getting involved in the review, is he? Nice.
Well, it's the game in question is Payday 3. And I needed some willing bodies who were able to basically play with me multiplayer-wise, because it is currently out on Game Pass, and also someone who had a previous history with the previous titles, as I'm kind of completely and utterly a noob to it.
Let's get this right, Removable. I've been his Igor to Dr. Frankenstein.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you were incredibly insightful in the previous franchise.
Yes, master. Yes, master.
It's only because literally it was like I've done a few of the maps, and so therefore I knew what to do. But apart of a few of them, we had no idea what the hell we were doing until you play. Until you go through it, you actually don't know what you're doing in some cases. You don't know what the tasks are or anything like that. So. But yes, that was he was invaluable at helping me create the review that will be out hopefully by the end of this week.
Well, because VJ's in it, it's gonna bang some numbers. It's gonna be one of the biggest reviews you've ever done because you've got VJ in the video.
I'm not here for the views. I'm here for simply providing the best content I can. and as the most truthful content I can as well. You know. But yeah, it was an interesting sort of situation with VJ, because obviously he has a previous experience of the titles, and I needed the conversation with him to kind of get a I wouldn't say a fan's version of it, but someone with a little bit of history of the franchise.
That's fair. It's a good perspective to have for a review, definitely.
Well, exactly.
It
I
is.
can only go from literally a complete noob's perspective, which is also going to be very helpful. But those who have played, like say, the previous franchise, yeah, it's good to have their understanding as well. So I can see and take on board their comments. So people who have played it, I give them a little bit of advice there as well. I must say that trailer does look pretty good.
Yeah, it looks really, really good.
They've added in, it looks like a lot
Hang on a
more
minute.
special
I'll put
attacks.
it back on. Yeah. So the gaming question, if you listen on audio feeds, thank you,
Gear 6.
thank you, Apple Podcast listeners for forgiving me, because I left feeds and the stats are now back to average views on Apple. So if you're one of them 21 downloads, please leave us an Apple review. It really would help. But yes, we're talking about Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is due out to January 2024, and it looks absolutely incredible, because it's a bit like the package you put together. It's a bit like a movie.
Oh, they always do, don't they? You always set up a very. I mean, Like a Dragon. I haven't completed it yet, but Like a Dragon's trailer was one of the reasons what got me into it, and it was literally they just do a fantastic job at selling the game in all its shapes and forms.
It's great. People moan about a lot of people don't like Yakuza because there's a lot of story in it, like cutscenes, etc. But it all makes sense in the end. It all slots together. And I'm playing Yakuza Kiwami 2 again now. I'm right at the end. The thing is with Yakuza, I don't know. I haven't played the new Like a Dragons though. Is that difficulty curve there where you're just kicking ass and suddenly it spikes right up? Is that still there?
I think they have that. Yes, I think that is still there, but that just means that you've got to basically, grind a little bit to try and get your stats up. And
There's this certain thing I'm trying to beat at the minute. I won't say because I don't know who's played Kiwami 2, but there's something I've got to beat and I'm struggling with it. I am. It's annoying me. I will get there. I will. I don't want to spoil it for anyone like Masuku, or anyone like that hasn't played the certain bit I'm on about. But so yeah, it's probably part of their style of Yakuza games with this spike in difficulty, because you don't pick a difficulty, do you? In Yakuza, just you play and that's it. As far as I know, you don't pick one, do you?
In the skill trees where you can increase certain attributes for your character in terms of, for example, if you eat a sandwich, how much energy does it replenish? How many times you can repeat a special move and the effect of it, and so on and so forth. I know they're all kind of enticing, but if you pick and choose those carefully and strategically, you do find that your character develops in a specific way to help you overcome certain missions. In terms of the spike, I think that those are very specific to boss battles, and the game does prompt you in the fact that, look, you're going up against a major foe, maybe not directly, but through the storytelling. Look, you've got to beat this dragon or this boss or the head of this organization. So that is a prompt for you in all the Yakuza games. The fact that you should stock up on sandwiches and special potions or special drinks.
I've learned that one. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So now you're familiar with it, and even with Like a Dragon, Actually, I jumped into that speaking to. I wasn't too sure, but I was speaking to Removable. He was the one who I think he got given a copy, or he bought a copy for Christmas, and then it ended up in Game Pass. So forgive me if I'm wrong about that. And he mentioned it, so I wasn't too keen on the turn base. It's switching to
Yeah,
turn
Like a
base.
Dragon is what I got for Christmas, and it did end up in Game Pass. So yeah.
You bought it physically,
so-
didn't you? physically, I remember. Or was it
Mm,
that
still got
correct?
it, it's brilliant.
Yeah. So in that game, the only spikes that I can recall is towards the end. But again, if you've played the game strategically, then absolutely, yeah, I think you can overcome it. But I was going to say, when you mentioned that the trailer looked like a movie, I watched this trailer and I thought, okay, this is just giving an insight in the game. I went to watch Yakuza, oh sorry, Like a Dragon, the man who erased his name.
Sorry.
There was a 3-minute trailer there, and that actually is more reminiscent or more sort of ideal or a picture of what a movie trailer looks like. I don't know if you've got that.
So-
This is more of a game overview trailer. So either that or I've got the wrong
Hang on
trailer.
a minute.
But
This might be. I might have got the wrong one. It might be the man
the
who.
other one with Kiryu-san, the one that's out November the 9th.
Oh, what a muppet! That's what I'm talking about. The man who erased the name. That's the one that looked like a
Removable.
movie. Yeah, I am.
Sorry,
Yeah.
you got Removable talking about the wrong game and me when I know the trailer you're referring to.
Yes,
I think
it's in the.
Oh,
It's
it's just the second. It is this.
it's in the direct. Hang on, it's in the direct. That was a trailer I was struggling to get. Hang on, I think this was this one here. I think this is the one. There
this
we
is
go.
also fantastic. Yeah, this one here is also this trailer here.
There we go. Yeah, I'm struggling to get that trailer. So this is from the direct. This is the movie one. I got the wrong bloody game. Typical me.
This one here.
I still haven't played the one. That's the second one, isn't it? I haven't actually had a chance. Is that coming out? He's coming out soon, isn't it?
That's day and date in Game Pass. The man who raised his name. He's
No,
coming
no. I mean the one previous one that you was talking about.
Infinite Wealth's out in January. That's not been mentioned for Game Pass.
Not yet. We haven't been told yet, right? I mean, this game has been on pre-order for a while. Then suddenly it drops in Game Pass. So it wouldn't surprise me if they look to see how the pre-order sales go for Infinite Wealth, maybe even up until December, the game show, the end of year game show, and announce it there, or perhaps even in January. Because if the pre-order sales aren't great, on Microsoft, they say, look, the pre-orders are around, I don't know, 500K, and lifetime is expected at $1 million. How about we just give you this money and can you put it in Game Pass? And perhaps that's how I would go about it. And then Sega would have to weigh up the fact that do they risk more sales potentially coming in, or do they take the money on offer and supplement it with additional sales if the game's received really well? So
What you could do there is simply you put it into Game Pass, and then what you do is you don't put in DLC as a part of the contract. So then, should it switch the other way around, should things really kick off, you can then just go straight DLC, and that will then I wouldn't say it will make up for the that shortfall, but it will definitely probably bring in a lot more cash.
I think there's two things. There's one is that there's a bird in the hand removable, which Sega would have to take into consideration. And number two is potential upside if the game is received well. They still sell lots of copies, as you say, potentially DLC if they release it, as well as getting a major upfront sum from Microsoft. But Microsoft might be more generous, perhaps saying, hey, look, we need to build our relationship with Sega, which leads me onto a very small nugget saying, how long before those Judgment games come to Game Pass?
I think to be honest with you, it would make a good deal for them to do so, because I think it's the more people play it, the more they're going to get. Fan bases will grow because of it, and it's one of those ones that I think generally, once you play it, you'll either fall in love with it or you'll hate it. For me, it's one of these games that is like you either absolutely adore it or you won't like it. And I think for me, I absolutely adore Like a Dragon. It was just brilliant. I haven't completed it, and I keep myself every time, because I just try and find myself time to try and go back and then get back into it again, because I know the moment I do, I'll probably end up spending like I did last time, which was about 30 odd plus 40 odd hours just messing around with the side quests, messing around with the mini games, messing around with all the little collectibles that you can
Remember,
try
we
and
all
find.
know you spent a lot of time hanging out in Pink Street, and I'm sure you met me there as well a couple of times.
It is a lovely place to be. I actually a lot of time was actually in the arcades. I spent a lot of time in the arcades, especially playing certain particular games that was in the arcades.
Absolutely.
And I hope the new one does exactly the same. After
It's
seeing that previous video, it does look like it's going to bring in
Well,
a
it's
lot
got
of
some
they,
fantastic Sega games in there, hasn't it? It's got
it
some fantastic
yeah.
games. In there.
it sparked some controversy. Not controversy. Some of the Sega community. A lot of the new Yakuza games are getting games that you can play in Yakuza that they haven't actually released for console. And it's a way of getting people to buy the games. They're thinking
But I think that's their prerogative. No,
exactly.
Yeah, why not? Why shouldn't they do that? That's, as you said, it's cash on the table. Why
Exactly.
can't they? Because at the end of the day, not only is it about game preservation because the game is preserved,
Yeah.
you're getting people into a new franchise. And if they buy that simply just for playing, I don't know, Sega Rally on there,
I can't
you're
think what
getting
the
Sega Rally.
Yeah, I can't think what the game is. I don't know if it's that one. I can't think what game it was, but it's a way of getting people to get the game. It is.
And to be, I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it not only does it preserve the games for future generations, it opens them up to new possibilities. I personally, yes, I wouldn't mind if they actually brought out some of the original games as well. But if they want to go down that path, so be it. I'll still be going for it.
No, it's a good idea. It is. It's.
I think it's I just think it increases the overall awareness, immersiveness, and the nostalgia. Just two things at the top of my head, and this game here, this is the movie trailer that
Yeah.
Stubzgaming was referring to, removable.
So intriguing. It really is.
And yeah, look, I know people haven't played Yakuza 6, so I'm not going to spoil it, but let's just say it was a fantastic ending, an ending which, for someone like Kiryu, given the life that he'd led through the first 6 or 7 games, it was inevitable, but it was a little bit like, wish it would have been a better outcome for him, but he did the right thing in what he needed to do in terms of protecting the ones that he
What
loved.
I'm saying is there was a sequel going to be coming in regardless.
I wasn't sure because they'd moved on to the Judgment series at that time, removable, and obviously the Like a Dragon series, like you just mentioned. So there was no talk at all of Kiryu ever coming back. And I think that the producer or director that left to go to work at NetEase had said that's the story for Kiryu-san. And obviously you've just seen in this stream here the new head of the Yakuza, or the whole Yakuza series, the Like a Dragon series, just mentioning here. I think it was him potentially who's brought it back and weaving in Kiryu's saga post saga of what happened in post 6, and then also introducing him into the Like a Dragon series, which is also appearing in as a character. So I'm really glad they've done it, and a lot of people that were a little bit sad in terms of not surprised by the outcome of 6. But I think this is going to be incredibly welcome for them,
So
especially at the price point at $50. So anyway, that was just my two cents there on that, which I thought might be worth getting out there.
No, it's true because people will be sad, obviously, because it's like, I hate to say it, it's like if Marcus Phoenix ever leaves Gears of War games, people can't live on forever. We don't know the actual outcome of what's going to happen, do we?
We end up in Halo, wouldn't he, as Master Chief?
But we know, like with Kiryu, if you watch the movie trailer, part of the story and the plot, really what it's going to lead to. I just think it's a well packaged movie trailer.
Well, what you can see in this trailer
It's not a movie. It's a game.
It's got
Ichibara
in here as well. I think that they're slightly tying the two genres together.
It's very diverse. There's a lot in it. There's a lot. That game you could be there for a long time if you ploughed through each bit of the game. It could be a very, very big game.
I think Removable's got a point there because it shows in one of the streams, Removable, that in Like a Dragon, Kiryu-san is turn-based, but he's got the freedom of movement around the enemies.
Hmm.
So just him, I think it is. That harks back to obviously the games he's started previously, where he's obviously free roaming. So I thought that was a nice touch, personally.
It says you can actually play with both characters, so
Yep.
to get the full experience, which it tells me they're bringing the new franchise and the old franchise, they're bringing it together to create something brilliant and more immersive. And I
Best of
think
both
that's a
worlds for
great
Liverpool.
move. That's a great move because if for those who've never played the Ichibara story, you're going to see him for the first time. If those who haven't played, sorry, my brain's going. The other character,
Yeah.
yes, they'll see it from here. So it's a clever way. It's going to get you to basically, experience two different things.
Merging the past with the present.
It is almost as if it's a torch of a passing torch, and yeah, it's just like you're passing past with Ichiban. So I was like, that's just.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, looking at the trailer here, he even talks about Kiryu, meeting with Ichiban, and I think it's just a clever way of bringing two franchises, an old franchise which is probably coming to its close, to a new franchise which is just probably starting off, and tying them together in a really nice cohesive way.
I've not played I've not played the Ichiban one. Obviously, Like a Dragon 6. I haven't played it.
See, that was my first experience into the world, and so that's why I'm slightly biased because I kind of enjoy the Ichiban storyline.
Because have you played Yakuza 0?
No, I haven't. No,
See,
no, not at all.
As
I said, it's one of those things that it's like those RPGs. You need a good 50 to 60 hours to really engage and enjoy with those sort of.
It's one of the best Yakuza, if not one of the, if not the best. It's a phenomenal game. Removable, phenomenal.
I need to still try that one because I know, some people don't like the old style. It's like Scott SX2. He tried the old style like Yakuza 0. Didn't really go on with him, but Yakuza 6 with Ichiban, loved it. So he loved that style. He didn't like the old brawler style. So why bringing new people in?
Yeah, it's. I mean, there was the other one that you was getting me. You mentioned VJ, the detective series.
Judgment.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say,
series.
how long before the trifecta is complete and they bring in Yagami-san from the Judgment series into the fold.
The Judgment series, because to be honest with you, I've actually got that. I wait until that. I'm gonna buy both the two Judgment series. There's two Judgment, and there's the second one. That is almost. It has a very similar art style to Like a Dragon. But you're right. It wouldn't surprise me if they all basically join together at some point, or at least make crossover appearances. It would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would say. I actually wanted to hear from Masuko because I just saw in the chat that he's finished Yakuza 0 today. So I'd like to see where he rates that among the Yakuza games he's played. But what you're saying, Rumi, what I do want to emphasize is that, people will think, the Like a Dragon series is probably the same as the Yakuza series. But what I will say is that the Judgment series is just as diametrically opposed in a positive way to the Yakuza series with the Kiryu-san versus the Like a Dragon series. It's his own separate game with different mechanics, but and different cities, but also different characters as well that grow on you and become a part of you just as much as the other two series. So it's not the same type of game. It's very different. You play as a detective who was once a lawyer. who's still practicing lawyer, but doesn't practice for specific reasons, which you'll come to know about. But yeah, it's fantastic in its own right, and that also has some fantastic Master System and games available for you to pick up, cartridges to pick up and play
There you go. See,
in your office.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you can tell that Sega's obviously very happy with Yakuza and Like a Dragon, because they, like, I mean, literally, you're getting Yakuza games nearly every year. The minute
they are becoming a staple, and to be honest with you, that's a good thing.
Because they did say in one of I think we talked ages ago, I can't remember what podcast feed, I mean, I think Removal was on, where we looked at one of their, they have a conference every so often, and it was part of their plans to make Yakuza a global franchise, and they seem to be working towards that. They do.
Yeah, I think as Removable was saying, and you're saying, and Masuko, because I don't know that many people that play the series, is that if you like the culture, if you like the characters, if you allow the game to introduce itself to you, you can get immersed in the world and the universe. But not only that, but from Sega's perspective, they spent 15, 20 years making these games, iterating on game engines, honing down their process of making these games, which I think was revealed, very recently in one of these conferences. They know the process, they know their game engine, and for the lack of a better word, they know how to quickly produce these games. It's all down to the strength of the scripts. They've honed down how they do their facial animation captures, the skeletal animations, and they know the environments and cities that they want to create. And what they continually do is just enhance in all of the aspects that we've come to appreciate. And as I say, I know that these are not PS5 and Xbox Series X exclusives, so they're obviously still multi-gen. But you can, if you've played the previous games, you can see various components of the games where they've improved significantly, and to be able to create, I mean, it seems to be a vast amount of Hawaii. I'm really, really keen to explore it, but obviously it's based in Hawaii and back in Japan. And so for Sega, as long as they can tell fantastic stories, they can continue to not emulate the past, but innovate the gameplay features that we've come to appreciate, and obviously move on the visual fidelity. I think it's a long time to look for. It's a good long term for us to look forward to in terms of these games coming out. And I think, I can't remember, but I think the article or the video you're referring to was something to do with working with Microsoft, right, in terms of using the infrastructure to bring these games to the cloud, whether it's an evolving series or multiplayer. I have no idea.
Yeah, that was they were talking about Sega's partnership with Xbox, and it was, now they never mentioned what games, but they mentioned they were using some of Microsoft's Azure developer tools to make super games. Now, I don't know what that means to Sega. I don't know if that what they're talking about Yakuza. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Removable might know.
They never clarified, so I don't actually know what they mean.
No, but he's used to this technology stuff, so he might know what it might or might not imply or entail, or we might look forward to.
It's hard to tell. Everything is. There's a lot of systems at play which could be utilised, and I'm trying to think of what could be done, and it's. I don't know, to be honest with you. It's. Yeah, I don't know.
Removal, they're having a beer right now. That should be the three of us and Masuko.
Just going to do a few shout outs. I've just missed a few people. Welcome to Indie Gamer. Thanks for popping in. Fimber, thanks for popping in, mate. Because Indie Gamer was going, because obviously we were talking about the rate at what the games are coming out at, and obviously because they are churning them out, but obviously worrying about the level of quality. But with Yakuza, it's a lot of their games. It's the story that hooks you in, the storytelling. They're so great at it. They are. You have to experience the Yakuza game. The best one I can recommend is Zero. I can.
I would say actually the story's probably already well advanced.
Oh yeah, I reckon they're already
I would
ahead.
say they've probably got the sort of story set for a good 3 or 4 series already kind of set up in some format, and then it's just trying to find the resources to create those stories. I think the story has already. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if this whole franchise has almost been already mapped out in some way, shape, or form.
It probably has, but no, it's. I understand. I understand why, because sometimes when franchises knock games out, like I'll use an example. Years ago, I'd never played it, but Guitar Hero used to be knocked out. That many copies of that game, they nailed it to death, and everyone was sick of it. I know that's a music game. The same was done for a lot of other games, like by Activision over the years, and games like that. You keep churning them out. People can't get sick of them. So I understand exactly what he's talking about. So they can. But these Yakuza games, I am surprised they don't leave them a couple of years between them, though, just to give a little bit of breathing space. But they've obviously, as VJ was saying, over the years, have got to that level, and they are now churning. They know what they're doing. They're probably like the DC EU. You know, got a roadmap ahead. They've probably got something like that behind the scenes, and they know exactly what they're doing. They do, but I can see why, because games generally that keep churning out, and they do get quite crap. A lot of the games they do. People get bored of them, but it does seem. I'm not up to date with them. I'm on Kiwami too, but you know what I mean.
I think the last Like a Dragon came out close to the launch of the Xbox Series X, which will be almost 4 years ago. So I think, and I think even Judgment and Lost Judgment had 3 or 4 years.
Oh no, sorry, you're right. I just remember. Oh yes, yeah, no.
Yeah, in terms of being under the Dragon or Like a Dragon or the Yakuza banner, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think that it's just like, if you like specific genres or types of games, there's very few. I can't think of anything else that compares to the product, the product in quotes that Sega put out there. And I think that this year we've been a little bit spoiled with Ishin, and obviously the upcoming game in Game Pass, which you can't really complain about because it is in Game Pass if you subscribe.
That's true.
I know not everybody does. And then obviously Like a Dragon is coming out 4 years after its original release as a sequel, and it promises to be, well, it looks fantastic, right? And who doesn't want to explore Hawaii, naked or otherwise? But yeah, so for me, it's.
Did you recognise a particular Mexican face in that trailer though?
I didn't know.
Oh, I'm surprised. I am surprised. It's a particular Mexican face that was just in the hotel. He said he gave his name, and if he looks very familiar to us, particularly a Mexican film star.
I don't know. I'm not very clued up on Mexican film stars.
Such a well done, Fimber. Just so people know, you are very correct, Fimber. So, a fun fact: Yakuza 0 and the games that follow, yeah, very true. They are just releases of the original games on the PS4. They are. Even Ishin is a re-release. Like a Dragon, obviously, is part of the new ones, but yeah, they're literally just games that are on the PS4, and Xbox has now got them all. The graphics are a little bit. A lot of the graphics are because like Ishin had to be redone, didn't it? VJ, was that on the PS3? Originally,
yeah, I can't remember if it's PS2 or PS3, but look, for Sega to remake it, to release it internationally, because I think it was only ever released in Japan. Again, it's their prerogative, and obviously when they're making games, all the departments that the concurrent
there it is,
or processes within making a game, if they're standing idle, because the game's in a certain part of development. You know, for example, pre-production or conceptual phase or motion capture. If they can say, "Hang on a minute, we've got all the data here for the original game. All we need to do is bring it up to spec with our current releases, and we can actually do it within the manpower that we have. What's the problem?" And I think as going back to what Removable was saying, in terms of preservation of games, is that not only are they making a bit of money, but they're preserving and remaking a game. I don't know how well it was received, but because I haven't played it myself, but if you're a fan of it, then there's lots to appreciate. So I know you can say, well, it was a cash grab, but you've also got to look at it from a business perspective and a preservation perspective.
Plus, there was people asking for a remake of it. Yeah, and they were asking for a remaster, stroke remake of it. So it wasn't as if it was a thing. Also, in terms of graphical fidelity,
and it's coming to Game Pass,
if you want some superb graphical fidelity, and don't get it wrong, the Yakuza series I think has a very good graphical fidelity.
Yeah,
it does.
What I'm seeing is Judgment is probably one of the top notch in terms of graphical fidelity. Would you agree with me on that in terms of facial animations?
Yes, it's quite phenomenal. Yagami-san. It's based on a very, very famous Japanese actor who's not only famous in Japan, but he's famous throughout all of Asia. And I think he's a singer as well as an actor. So his popularity knows no bounds. And obviously, the kerfuffle with there's a word I haven't used for a while. That obviously the game isn't being allowed to come to PC because obviously concerns about mods, etc. But yeah, in terms of visual fidelity and just on the character animations and the facial animations and the expressions and everything, in terms of what they can do a lot more, right? Because the capture is obviously of a lot higher fidelity, but in terms of what they can reproduce in terms of the game engine, is quite fun. I mean, even this looks fantastic. I really just want to see Kiryu-san being duffed up here because all I want to see is him get his revenge because I've never seen him in this sort of state. But
the bit that got me though was when he revealed that he was poorly. I was like, no!
I want to know who duffed him up because he's a hard nut. I want to know what's going on.
He's like a god, mate. The Kiryu is. I tell you.
I bet it was Removable.
Would I do such a thing?
Dustbin lids.
But in any case of that, enough of this fanboyism talk for the Yakuza series, because clearly all three of us have a bias against the Yakuza series and where we actually enjoy it.
But just to bring up indie game,
probably move on to another topic.
Indie Gamer's point, he was just because he was saying like, you wouldn't want another Assassin's Creed situation where it loses all creativity. But like I say, if the quality maintains, that's good. But also, you want a fresh take.
Unlike the Assassin's, I was going to say unlike the Assassin's Creed series, where I feel that they probably they did the game, then they looked for a new story, then they did the game, then you look for a new story, and that's why the story kind of, if you've played through the Assassin's Creed series, especially the Desmond arc, you see it slightly tail off in terms of writing. The further it got down the franchise, I think that's because I don't think they expected to continue making one after the first one, and they kind of shocked them that the first one got such a pull from gamers. Whereas I think with Yakuza, I think, as I said earlier, they've got this mapped out as a series. They've got that whole element all kind of wrapped up. They know how to make really good series in terms of games and storytelling, and it's a shame that the Assassin's Creed don't do that. They don't go, right, we're going to set aside a really good story and we're going to make it into 3 games. We'll tell it across 3 games, and that's how it's going to work. I think they've now decided that it's easier probably. And as you can see that from the different Assassin's Creed, it's easier to do one-off storytellings, but utilize different timelines and different genres, different time zones and different geographical locations to suit that particular story, rather than they basically go, and build a story that spans across multiple games. I think they've decided to go from a different point of view, and I think that happened the moment they did. Was it Assassin's Creed? What was the pirate one? Black
Flag.
Flag.
Yeah.
The way that kind of re-energized the Assassin's Creed franchise, Assassin's Creed franchise, I think that's when they realized that it was the best way to do was just basically change it to different time zones and different locations with a different story. That works well for the Assassin's Creed franchise, which is why they've gone back to Greek mythology. They did Norse mythology. I think they've gone back to their roots on the latest one. I still think they should have done a Japanese one. I still think Japan or Chinese would have been a fantastic setting for the Assassin's Creed. Maybe we'll get that next time. But I think that's where they've decided to go. That's where their strengths lies. Their strengths lies in individual games, but just set in individual stories setting within different time zones. Where Yakuza series seems to have a much more well-rounded, storytelling, and that's going to span across 3 or 4 games regardless, unless of course something really bad happens and players hate.
Yeah, and in terms of how they converge and merge and overlap each other as well has also been taken into heavy consideration. And I think that the way that their teams are structured and the way that the vision holder is connecting everybody within that, it's like it's not it's like the
It's
Assassin's
not
Creed
haphazard,
games
is it?
yeah, I think that the Assassin's Creed games are made in isolation in silos,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Versus the approach that Sega. So you end up with very different products, and I think that also with
and that works well in some cases. Don't get us wrong; that actually does work really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of keeps the series fresh in some cases because you've got different perspective and different styles to it. I just think I don't think it's going to. I don't think the Yakuza series is going to have the same issue with staleness because I think it's already been set up. I think. You couldn't tie the way they tie these crossovers in so well. This has been thought out well in advance. This is not haphazard, is it?
No, I agree with you, Remy. It's very similar. Well, look how frequently From Software release content. Is there any shape, way, or form that looking to go stale at all? I don't think so.
No, but I think there's a slight difference. Is that he has a design, he has a creation, and then in each of those, because you could technically say the Dark Souls series is unique, and each story he tells, to a degree, it's that unique story he tells, where the Yakuza series just seems to be one continuation of a fantastic story that is just going across multiple generations. Everyone's feeding into this big legendary drama effectively.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it's the fact that the DNA or the staples that cement those games as great, even though they are relatively frequent and have a library, they've been built up over a couple of decades, the same like the Yakuza games, even though they are under the Yakuza banner, those 3 franchises are
the assets, without a doubt, potentially, I think. Yeah, you can definitely see the assets, so you can see the movements from Dark Souls 1 into like the latest Elden Ring, for instance. You can see the assets, the moves, the elements are similar. But I think that's about as far as it gets.
I guess the question I've got, because I don't really play that many Assassin's Creed. When I play Assassin's Creed 3, 1 and 3, and then Black Flag, I saw what Black Flag did. Then I watched Valhalla, and I just didn't see how those games had actually evolved. But when I look at the Yakuza series and when I look at the Judgment and I look at the From Software games, you can always see or feel at least that the sense that they've evolved. The teams evolved, the games are evolving, the tech is evolving, and aspects of the games are evolving. I don't know if I can say the same about Assassins yet.
Well, I think the Assassin's series is, as you said, it's done in isolation, so different teams provide different context, different routes, different thoughts of how they wish the game to play. And in doing so, you should get a much more unique experience every time. That's not saying they have a standard ethos running through them, a standard, asset family running through them. But I do feel that story-wise, it's very much an individual take on it. I think after the Desmond conclusion, I don't think they wanted to go down that multi-game story again, because I think it grated with some of the players. As you said, they didn't feel it was different enough. So what their way of doing about it is they basically, as you said, they've done different silos, and that team's going to deal, I don't know, with Assassin's Creed Paris. That team's going to deal with Assassin's Creed Japan. That team's going to do Assassin's Creed New York. Assassin's Creed Rutland. It's going to happen, at some point like that.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed Rutland was. I'm sorry, but I won't hear a word said against it.
It's just going to be the most brutal of all of the Assassin's Creeds. Whatever you're going to see, it's.
Well,
just
they could always include the sea dragon they found as well. They could include that.
So
it was found in Rutland Water. It was.
I just couldn't get past.
I'm just literally looking at. You're running across the Rutland rooftops.
The Rutland Water. That sea dragon they found. They could bring it back to life in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd be running across the Rutland Water, through the Rutland, the Rutland sea rooftops, stealing wheels. Grabbing your booze in a brown paper bag. Jumping into 50p shops. It's going to be perfect, absolutely perfect. Honestly, cement the franchise. Cement the franchise. Yes, sea battles on the water.
Exactly. There's ideas here. Write them down. Come on.
We have saved the Assassin's Creed series from being stagnant with our instant thoughts on this one.
But yes, it's been a good topic. It has. A good 47-minute topic on Yakuza. We tried to lead the Yakuza topic, then Removable brought it back round with Assassin's Creed, and ended up back with Yakuza, and then back to Assassin's Creed.
Seconds, as he always does when it's in code.
But no, it's a good conversation though. I will mention, I've just got to mention this because just for let's find it. Just for BMG, if you're listening. Starfield. We have now mentioned it. We can now move on. He complained to me, asked me, he texted me as I listened to the podcast. I couldn't find Starfield talk though.
To be honest with you, it's.
I haven't really played it. To be fair,
I have played it, and I'm probably a good 15, 20 hours in, and it's a good game. It is a good game. It's enjoyable. Is it the perfect game that it's being made out to be? No. And this is someone who's played a lot of Bethesda games and a lot of Fallout franchise games and a lot of the previous titles they've done. The basis, the ethos is still there. What someone's mentioned is it's like Fallout in space. Yes and no.
I've heard
tweaked a lot of things in this that makes it worthwhile. There is a lot of what I would classify as the ethos of Fallout thrown into this game, but they've also tried to do something new with it as well. So they've tried to evolve the Fallout ethos. The in that regards, the Skyrim sort of ethos. It's if you've played Skyrim, if you've played Fallout, you'll know what I'm talking about in that. You'll see the traits across all of those franchises, and you can see the traits, obviously clearly the traits and elements and assets being utilised in here. And I wouldn't say it's the pinnacle of their games. I'm enjoying myself, but for me at least, each one has its own unique. I think I mentioned this before. Each one has its own unique fans. So Skyrim has its own fans. Fallout has its own fans, and I think Starfield will have its own fans as well, and that's what they're good at doing. Would I say it's a 10 out of 10 game, or that it's been sometimes touted? No, I don't think it is. It has bugs in it, which I knew was going to happen. I think I mentioned it numerous times. It has less bugs in it than I expected, and I have to basically put my hands up, say I was wrong in that regards, because it was impressive that it didn't have as many bugs as I expected in it. I enjoy it, but I sometimes struggle with it as well. And they've got some really clunky UI decisions that have made it there, like traveling between the stars and the maps, where you can try and just plot a path. That is just a really clunky system. They could do a much more smoother way of doing that and traversing that. There's some really good ideas, and there's some really clunky ideas in this as well. But what these games have always been about is choose your own path. These are choose your own path games, and it was Awoken Gimp, I think it was mentioned. It was literally, he basically said to me, he said, you've been in the game for 5 hours. How have you not joined the Constellation yet? And I just simply said to him, I said, side quests. This is one of those games that you can literally walk in and go, right, I'm going to do the main storyline, and then 40 hours down the line, you haven't even touched the main storyline because you're too busy doing a side quest. And the side quests, again, are brilliant. They are really good. They've always been really good side quests. Bethesda has already done really good side quests. And it is enjoyable, but I just don't. I can't really. When people say, "Oh, so it's the best Bethesda game ever," I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to say that, because as someone who went through the entirety of Skyrim, that's a fantastic game, absolutely fantastic. Someone who's played through Fallout 3 and 4, both brilliant games again. And then now with Starfield, I think again they're different types for different people. Putting this up against some of the big hitters like Skyrim and Fallout, I'd say they're still on par. I can't determine a clear winner. So that's why I was like, go on.
No, I was just going to ask. I know that Stubbs went for early access. I just wanted to hear why he didn't proceed playing the game as much as he thought he might.
FOMO is the reason why I bought it, and the reason what fear of missing out, hype train, and the reason I stopped playing it was because I got busy at work for 2 weeks, and I just moved on. I probably will go back at some point.
The good thing about that game is you'll pick it up. Well, no, the good thing about the Bethesda games is you'll pick it up, and for the first probably 20 minutes, you'll be like, where the hell am I? What am I doing? You'll finish that side quest, and then all of a sudden, you'll fall into another side quest, and then you'll lose about 6 or 7 hours.
The early access, to be fair, I bought the early access
so easily.
Probably stupid, but obviously, at some point in the future, they're bringing out DLC. I own that when that comes out as well. So,
yeah, in fairness to you, one thing the Bethesda does do really good at is superb DLCs to the games as well. Their DLCs are predominantly really worth it. If anyone's looks at Fallout 3, you'll see what I've done for the DLC in terms of achievements. They are really good. They are good at providing good quality DLCs. Not all the time, but 90% are really good. But as I said, would I say it's the best thing in the world? This is the best, this is the game of the century? No, not really. It's good, it's fun, it's enjoyable, but I wouldn't classify it as the pinnacle of gaming.
That's
that makes
fair.
sense.
That's fair enough. I'm not really going to.
This is someone who really likes those games as well.
I'm not really going. Yeah, I'm not really going to pass a view on it.
I've gone through, and if people look at the times I've put in from Skyrim, the time I put in Fallout, you'll see the amount of time I placed on some of these games, and they are superb and easily just to lose yourself in. And this one's good. It's fun, but again, it's Bethesda's. It's it's a different game, but by Bethesda. I wouldn't say it's the best game in the world, but it's fun. It's enjoyable, and it's definitely worth playing. Without a doubt, it's definitely worth playing. You'll lose a lot of hours in that game.
Fair. So I'm going to move on. Otherwise, we might have a Starfield topic finishing the podcast. So this was requested by VJ, Final Fantasy
VII
Rebirth. I didn't know what the Roman numerals meant. There you go, VJ. I've got it on screen.
D2 is 5 and 2, so it's 7.
There we go. I've got it on screen for you, VJ. Are you there, VJ?
Oh, thank you. Yep.
So you wanted to talk about it, or you wanted to add it. You're quite keen. This is the trailer I found. I don't know if I've got the correct trailer. I believe it is.
Yeah, there was so much content or so much disclosed about this game over the TGS.
Does it worry you?
No. Why would it worry me?
Because sometimes when they disclose so much, it may feel that's they've left everything. They've given you everything already.
I kind of know the story for Final Fantasy VII because I mean, and I was living in Causeway Bay on the Hong Kong side for quite a while, and I remember being in my apartment, and I think it was '96. I just got home having finished shipping loads of Final Fantasy VII Hong Kong versions to European clients, and up until that point, all you would see back in those days, all I'd seen, it was in the previews for this game in Famitsu and GameFan, and lots of Hong Kong publications that I can't pronounce, but I remember the Hong Kong version of Final Fantasy VII was different to the Japanese version of the game since it had a Chinese manual, or a manual with Chinese text, so that the Taiwanese and the people in Hong Kong, and obviously the grey importers in China could understand, partake in the basic mechanics of the game. And in those days, obviously manuals were really important, right? Subject matter for you to get involved with the game. And I did not stop playing Final Fantasy VII until I completed it. I think I'd got home on Saturday night, and Sunday and Monday was off, and because everything had shipped, and there was no new releases the following week. And I completed in Japanese everything it had to offer, bar the Ruby and Emerald bosses. And I mean, Stubbs-san knows this, but I had someone I knew in Japan, a French journalist living in Japan, who was basically, I think he was writing for Edge magazine at the time, and who helped me get through aspects of the game. For instance, breeding chocobos, etc. So you could get the ultimate chocobo in order to get to a specific point in the world map to obtain the ultimate summon, Knights of the Round Table, and then years later, Final Fantasy Advent Children released, and obviously, I don't want to spoil too many things, but obviously, the story with the demise of Aerith, and something which hadn't been created or showcased in a video game is such a hard-hitting event or fashion in a 3D game, and at the time, it was probably the biggest budget spent on producing a video game in record-breaking time, and it was a reluctance, right? I watched the movie / sequel to one of the greatest games of the time, right? And the aftermath story, if you want to put it like that, to the Final Fantasy game. And I watched the movie, and it was good, and I enjoyed it, and I liked the send-off for Aerith and so on and so forth. But with Final Fantasy VII remake, and now obviously you've got Rebirth, the middle of the three episodes that we're getting. I've completed the first game twice, and the DLC integrate, which introduces Yuffie, another key character, a lovable character, I say, and party member of the, I think it's 9 characters in total, 9 main characters in total, bar Cloud, obviously. And the $1 million question remains: is that the way that they framed this game in the beginning, you might have seen it in the trailer, where the captions sort of come up on screen saying "This unknown journey continues." Something, I'm paraphrasing it, so forgive me if I've got it wrong. And obviously, if you've played the original and it stuck with you, which everybody's got their own game, right? Because fundamentally, your experience is your experience, right? Like yours is with Bethesda and those games and so on and so forth. So obviously, this is one of the games that is going to stick with me until the day I die. You know, which could be tomorrow, early hours later on this evening, or whenever in 25 years. Who knows, right? And but in the Final Fantasy Rebirth, there are these creatures of fate almost that I can't remember. I don't know the lore exactly. And now that they're involved with the game, which they weren't originally, and how is that going to affect the overall story, right, of Aerith? And I think that is the elephant in the room, because by the time that I think the third game comes out in 2027, it'll be a 30-year anniversary of Final Fantasy VII on PS1 launching, the anniversary, so to speak, or whatever. And I'm not about to put a garland around Square Enix, the studio. I want to see, you know, what actually happens. And in terms of, so that's the big elephant in the room, is that how are they going to navigate that? How are they going to deal with it? And how are they going to deal with the fact that they released Final Fantasy Advent Children, right? With obviously the demise of Aerith being prevalent in there, right? And almost basically wrapped up, right? So yeah, again, it's going to be really interesting how they deal with this. But watching the trailer and seeing the recent trailer, especially, you know, the Golden Saucer. If you don't know what the Golden Saucer is, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Kate Sith, that character looks fantastic. It was amazing in the first game, and then there's lots of mini games I saw, like Queen's Blood, the piano playing mini game, especially the fact that you can pick up tracks which, you know, I can still play in my head without even, you know, recreate them in my head. Not perfectly, I'm not a musician of any sorts, but being able to recreate them within the game, or pick up soundtracks and recreate them in the game via a mini game is fantastic. As well as, I think I mentioned the Queen's Blood and Fort Condor in Intergrade. And they said that this game is going to have an astronomical amount of mini games, but they're meaningful games, right? I know we've talked about Yakuza series and how they bring about introducing, you know, the old Master System and the old Mega Drive games and so on and so forth. But Final Fantasy VII, they've just made a big impression on me in terms of how far they've gone in terms of recreating. Creating new games and building on the games and the mini games that were available in the original game at the Golden Saucer. And
well, they have stated this is on like 2 discs, so that should give you a bit of a hint of what content they're placing on this.
I think it's something that you said, removable, when you were talking about Bethesda. I don't think you said it directly, but you said it indirectly. But for me, the reason why I mention, you know, if you're living in Hong Kong, is 2 islands basically. You've got the north side, which is Kowloon, which is connected to China, and by a bridge, and then the southern side, which is the Hong Kong side. So if you're sitting on Kowloon Bayside and you're looking across, you're sitting at the Regency or whatever, you'll see the Hong Kong skyline, and you'll always see the iconic 20-foot high neon letters Panasonic. And my apartment was just below the P. And the thing is, just by watching the Rebirth, the most fundamental thing, regardless of how good or bad the game is, because we don't know, right? It just brings back so many memories of a really, almost like of a past life, of a really pleasant time in my life. It's not like Spiderman.
It's bringing back the nostalgia.
Yeah, the nostalgia, the memories which the memories that I thought I'd lost. It just brings them back with such clarity. It's incredible. Not that the Final Fantasy remake was bad. It was amazing for me. I don't know why it was criticized in the way it was, because for me it was fantastic. And it's not like Spider-Man. I know we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I really enjoyed Spider-Man. But I played, and it's played by millions, right? Probably, you know, tens of millions or more than people that play, say, Final Fantasy. But I played it on a sensory level. I play certain games like the Yakuza series and the Final Fantasy 7, or even Hollow Knight, for example, to a real unknown depth, like the Lies of P. Like I'm going around doing everything forward and backwards again, right? Going through the maps from point A to point B backwards. Once I've completely conquered the area, I know how to beat all the bosses. So it's always very subjective and ultimately non-consequential at the end of the day. But it's just that Final Fantasy, the certain games in the series have a
special place in your heart.
Yeah, a special place. Thank you. And it's definitely, you know, Final Fantasy Rebirth and then you've got I think it's in February, is it? And then you've got the Yakuza Infinite Wealth in January. So already next year for me
You're booked.
is booked. Yeah, exactly. And so because I don't want to play those games at a superficial level, like I'll play Spider-Man. I want to play them at, I'm not saying that's bad, but I'll play them at a sensory level. I don't play them at any extraordinary level of depth. Even though I complete them, I'm not as connected with those games. Even though I collected tons and tons of Marvel comics, as I am connected to Japanese media. And it's just the way that I'm inclined. It's not a bias. It's just you find yourself in. It's just no different to when you're introduced to coffee or tea, or whether you're introduced to Sprite or Coke or Pepsi, or whether you're introduced to strawberry, chocolate, or vanilla ice cream. Unless you're Lord Stubbs, and you have all three put on your plate along with a jolly good dose of jelly as well. So, and experiences are fleeting, but memories were there. But when I watched that Removable, it just brought back so much good stuff to me.
Into the nostalgic ache
Yeah,
that was always there. The question I always try and ask this is, and I think you may have slightly answered this as it is, when they do remakes of games, I always worry they're going to lose. It's gonna taint the original nostalgic memories in some way. And by the sounds of it, this series hasn't done that for you. In fact, if anything, it seems to have engaged and expanded your nostalgic memories.
So just to, yeah, it has, but just to someone did a video Removable. They took this trailer and they did a side-by-side video of the original, and it's identical pretty much, right? Obviously, bar the dialogue and the visuals and and the gameplay mechanics and the fact that it's 3D, etc., etc. But it follows the original almost perfectly. But they've also added in where aspects of the original where just certain points of the game were just in discussion mode, shall we say, or alluded to. But know that now those parts that they've alluded to that sort of evoke your memory have become playable chapters within the game, which can potentially be phenomenal.
I think this is where Night Dive Studios does a very good job for their remasters, where they take the originals ethos of the game and then they also add in lost content or content that possibly could have not been made due to timescales, cost. Yeah, and increase upon that. And it sounds like this is exactly what's been done with this series here. They've taken we really wanted to speak about this character's background. We didn't have the time. Well, we have the time now. We have the funds. Let's add it in. We know what we can do. We can now, instead of it maybe being like a little bit of a dialogue or a really nice cut sequence, we can now make it a playable experience so people can engage further with it. And that's the sign of a good remake and remaster.
I'm really looking forward to it. I can't speak highly enough of the Final Fantasy VII series and the CG movie Advent Children, and now we're getting these games, and I just think it's 30 years on, and we're going to have all three remade on the Final Fantasy anniversary. I think that's what they're targeting. Whether they can do it or not, I don't know, but it's special, right? And next year's obviously Sony's 30th anniversary as well, right?
Yeah, I was about to say is, as someone who is clearly a fan of the franchise, do you think it would have been wiser to potentially hold off and get the Ultimate Collector's Edition in 2028 maybe? So you could go through...
Not for me. I think
so it is that FOMO, isn't it? That fear of missing out. You want to experience it there and then as it goes through.
It's not that. It's... Look, when the Final Fantasy Advent Children released, even that at that point, you can ask any Final Fantasy VII fan, wow, if the game was remade with these visuals in the future, would have to pick it up. And it's not a case of fear of missing out. It's I've always loved Aerith, Cloud, Tifa, Barrett. I love the setting. The story was way ahead of its time. The music and Integrate that was released isn't part of the original game. But what it is, it gives you a story of the character's backstory, weaves her in for this, for the sequel, full-on sequel. to the original. And the fact that we knew that the games were going to be made over a 10 or 12-year period. And so it's not a case of fearing it. I'm not as young as you guys are, so I don't even know if I'll be around, for the third part. So at least I get to play the first and second. And let's be clear, if I was on the fear of missing out, you know me, right? This game eventually came to the Sony PlayStation subscription service. So I did buy the game originally, and then I gave it to someone, or I might have sold it, I can't remember. But then now I own it in the Sony subscription service. So then I played it again. So and most times, like Octopath Traveler, etc., I'll wait 6 months or a year, until the price comes down and then pick it up. Not because I can't afford it, I can, but it's just the fact that I have other games I need to finish or complete.
Yeah.
And I have no issues in seeing a game 5 years down the line, right? And like you would say, removable. Some games, they're in a lot better state post-release, 6 months after release, than they are. Because if you go on to, I remember, was it the Star Wars game, the recent Jedi Survivor, was it? Which got very mixed reviews initially on Steam, and now they're mostly positive because obviously they've fixed a lot of the issues. So, but obviously I don't play on PC, so I get the FOMO stuff, but I'm not one to be possessed by the fact that I must play at the same time as everybody else. But I do sometimes pick up very specific games to support the studio, and also because it's so hard to avoid spoilers, this day and age. So, but at the same time, I'm glad because no one hardly talks about the Yakuza series, so I can play it whenever I want, right? So yeah. So yeah, sorry, I just thought I'd just throw that in.
No, not at all. No, it's good.
Probably all quite reductive, really, but there you go.
Not at all.
No, it's good. It's good to hear about your experiences with Final Fantasy and your time living in Japan because
Hong Kong. That was Hong Kong then.
Hong Kong, sorry.
I was bringing in because the local distributor was a rip-off, in terms of what they wanted to charge in terms of for distributors to pick up Final Fantasy VII, and so I'd buy some locally to make sure I had some on day one, but then I would always, have someone hand carry Final Fantasy from distributors in Japan before street date and bring them back to Hong Kong, and then we'd ship. And France used to be, you wouldn't believe it, you'd think it's the UK or other, but France was the country that would import the largest amount of Japanese product and content.
Would not have expected that. I must admit, I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, and again, can I just say is that this game and the Lies of P and Final Fantasy VII, in terms of showcasing what Unreal Engine can do, not necessarily looking like Unreal Engine games, is quite phenomenal, because there was a period of time when Gears of War, BioShock, and many other games came out, and just from a single screenshot, without even reading the text of what the game was called, you could just tell by looking at the screenshot that the rendering would disclose to you the fact, or reveal the fact to you, that this game is made in Unreal. And I think Final Fantasy, in terms of the animations, we were talking about facial animations and the fidelity in Yakuza. I don't know how Square are doing it in Unreal now, but it's quite phenomenal. And Lies of P is another phenomenal game, which is displaying again the versatility of what Unreal can actually do. And I don't know whether to praise Epic or whether to praise the ingenuity of developers, but I guess while I don't know, probably best to give it to the pair of them.
See it to both, yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite phenomenal. I thought I'd just put that out there because I think if you've got the ability, you've got the time, and you've got the focus, you can get tech to sing. Because for me, Unreal, it's a bit like there was a long time when Unreal 3 and Unreal 4 were like, hey, these engines are good because you can release content, but they're not quite on par with first party or studio bespoke engines, so to speak.
Stubbs has gone quiet.
I'm still here. I just like to listen to. I don't have any experience with like Final Fantasy. Yes, Yakuza, but I've never really got on with Final Fantasy.
That's going to make VJ very jealous because I'm sure he would love to go back and experience the whole of the Final Fantasy series.
He would.
Scratch without that.
It just makes me want to go to a GoFund page where they're trying to invent a neuralizer.
Wipe out the memory and start all over again.
From Men in Black, if people didn't know the reference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's gone quiet again.
I'm still here.
I feel like we talk about Unreal and first-party engines. I feel like Unreal like imagine a bolt. A nut and bolt is like a bolt, right, or a hexagonal nut, right, and when you want to turn it, right, you get a spanner and it doesn't quite fit, so you retrofit the spanner, right, so and it leaves rough tool marks, right, and it's kind of unwieldy. So what I look at, it leaves marks, right, so for me it's like when you're turning and you're trying to get a grip and to turn the nut, right, that's like the torque, right, so the grip to try to get optimum grip and rotation, right, which Unreal can't always do, and then obviously it misshapens and dents the bolt itself. So the torque and everything I look at as I don't know, what can we call it? Can we call that frame rate? And the dents and everything that you leave on the bolt is let's call that fidelity, right? So that's what you get with Unreal primarily, unless you spend a lot of time with it to get it to sing the way that you want it to.
No, I can understand it. It's definitely.
Yeah. Is that Stubbs doing sit-ups there? Spiderman must have been.
Yeah, definitely. That's what Stubbs' next game is going to play. It's going to be Spider-Man 2, isn't it right, Stubbs? Stubbs has decided he's gone for poo.
I was just talking and it was muted.
Sorry.
I pressed mute. So the Spider-Man 2, VJ, I know you were interested. Are you still gonna buy it when it comes out, or are you gonna hold off for a bit?
I think it really depends on what happens. Removable will tell you I was never intending to really sort of. I went to play Payday 3 with him, right? Just to sort of play something with somebody for a change, rather than sort of hiding in a cupboard. And then obviously, unfortunately or unfortunately, I'll say fortunately, the servers weren't working.
Yeah.
Not that it helped Removable. So we both sort of had a game which we'd both managed to try at exactly the same time without any coordination whatsoever, and it was Lies of P. And I haven't stopped playing it. I go to bed thinking about it, and I'm playing it non-stop. And so it's about best laid plans, really. Is that I'm planning, and I have said on the show that I want to play Spider-Man because I enjoyed the original, but I just don't know what's going to happen next. And it's quite good, really, because I know it'll always be there for me to play, but I just don't know. I didn't know I was going to play Celeste, for example. So it will just be about once I'm fully focused on Lies of P. Nothing's going to distract me from that, unless Payday 3 or something like that comes up and Removal wants to have a go or whatever. And if Stubbs ever speaks to me on Xbox, which I don't think will ever happen, yeah. So best laid plans. I'd like to play Spider-Man 2. It looks phenomenal. I grew up with buying lots and lots and lots of Marvel comics by saving up my money, pocket money, and walking to school and not taking the bus or the train, and not having slush puppies and what were those called? Marathons as the rightful name is.
Yes, marathons, or Snickers as well. It's now called.
Yeah. And and so I'd save my money and on a Friday go and buy my comics and stuff, all the Spider-Man comics, Webber's Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, etc., and spend the weekend reading comics. But so if nothing else gets in the way, if there's nothing particularly on sale, if nothing makes a surprise appearance on Game Pass or in PlayStation subscription service, then I will play it. But I thought the same about Starfield. I was really looking forward to that, but I haven't gone anywhere near it. So it's just
life. What's the old phrase? Life happens when you least expect it.
There you go. especially in Rutland.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially in Rutland.
It does.
But I think BMG's a fan of Spider-Man, isn't he? So I think he'll be playing it. No
It
doubt.
is.
Well, look, it's going to sell bucket loads, right?
I'm
So-
actually a fan of Spider-Man too, but I just don't own a PlayStation.
It's a really good game, really great story. Actually, the first game, Removable. I loved all the side missions. I did all the collectibles. I always get to the point of getting 80 or 90% of the trophies, not pursuing them, but just by the way I go about playing games. Basically, it's a byproduct.
I think I played.
itself that I'm chasing.
Yeah, I think I played all the Spider-Mans on the Xbox. I had pretty much played all the Spider-Mans from up to PlayStation 3, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a fan of. I remember playing the original Spider-Man semi-open world game that was on the PS1. I absolutely adored that. So it's unfortunately I can't afford 2 systems, and it will come in at some point. Maybe when I finally get a PS5, or
or a PC.
Or PC. It depends what those things. Whether you never know. 20 or 30 years down the line, maybe it'll make its way to Xbox. You never know.
Luke Steele, welcome.
They're really good. They're really good games. And this Spider-Man and Miles Morales were both fantastic. And Spider-Man 2 is I don't want to say more of the same, but if you like the Yakuza games and you want more Spider-Man with more bells and whistles, and I think they know how to tell good stories. Insomniac, because I've played a few of their games. You can enjoy it either on a sensory level, which you definitely can tell by looking at the trailer, watching the trailer. I really like the fast travel mechanic. It looks really cool the way they've implemented it. Obviously, it's like this. Well, there you go, right on cue. I think it's just a game which I'm probably ready to play for, given the style of game it is and the mechanics and the uniqueness of it. And no doubt this will bring lots and lots of memories for me. But from my prime years, I was obviously a lot more sort of in Asia, and spent a lot of time with Asian media and Asian games, or Japanese-made games, should I say? But yeah, I think it's going to sell a lot of units, right? And I'm just wondering how many days it's going to be before Sony post, or we've sold, or Insomniac post. Thank you very much for supporting us. We've sold 10 million copies. So
it won't be long. It won't be.
A week, maybe a month.
No, it'd be long, quicker than that.
I think God of War did 10 million, didn't it, in a couple of weeks or something?
Okay,
I think it's 2, was it?
Yeah, something like that. It's phenomenal Removal. That's what I'm saying, Removal. But back in the day, a game to sell 10 million units, it's just unheard of, wasn't it, until this decade?
No, it's because back in the day there wasn't as many gamers who were buying stuff. We could afford. Let's put it this way. Let's put it in true context. Back in the day, we didn't have the money to spend on video games. It was birthdays and Christmas, if you were lucky.
Yeah.
So you'd get 2 games for the whole year. So when you played those games, you had to choose very carefully that you had to buy a game that you knew was going to replay again and again and again and again and again.
See, I bought Super Shinobi and Ghouls and Ghosts, and I'm really glad I did, because I love both of them.
See, there you go. Stubbs has gone quiet again.
That's what I do. It's my thing. It's my thing. Make it awkward.
I know you might not play this game at launch, but just what are your impressions, both of you, when you see the Spider-Man 2? Is it something, if money wasn't a problem, if time wasn't an issue, is it something that?
I'd play it. Yeah, without doubt, I'd definitely play it. It's
I want to play it on the PS5 because obviously, well, I tried the Spider-Man on the PS4 and it's the I hate to say, I have issues with the controller of the PS4. The way you move about on Spider-Man. It's the PS4 controller. I'm fine on Horizon Zero Dawn and games like that, but my wrists end up aching when I'm playing the game, and I think it's something to do with that small controller.
You're just used to its locations, I think.
Well, no, it's a bigger with the PS5. I've got a bigger controller, but this game really does look.
But where
Have you
the
got large
sticks are, the
hands?
buttons are slightly different, so therefore it's going to what's it? I classify as going to cause not cause problems, but it's going to get used. Your body's not going to get familiar with it.
I have
Have you
VJ
got quite large hands, Mr. Stubbs?
and feet.
He's like a walking clown.
There's a few of those in Liza P.
It's annoying when you buy trainers. Yeah.
I don't know if you those are the the screenshots and videos I've been sending you, and you've been wondering what the hell is this game?
Yeah. What game has that
That's
been?
Liza P.
Laughing my head off at.
And that's Liza P.
Liza P.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Incredible
Free on Game Pass. It is a Dark Souls experience. So if you're not into Dark Souls, you won't enjoy it.
I don't like. I don't like.
Experience.
Yeah, I don't like them games. Well, obviously, indie gamer, you don't play with your feet. Obviously, I was just clarifying.
Well,
I've sized 12 to 13 feet.
May do.
Just clarifying. Yeah, he's been sending me loads of videos and screenshots, and I've been guessing on WhatsApp, and I didn't guess Liza P. I've said Final Fantasy. I've said Mirage. I've said all sorts. I did not know what it was. He's finally told me live on the show.
Yeah, I just I just saw Indy's comment, and it does give me vibes of Hollow Knight, but I need to give it more thought. Exactly what. I'm just utterly, in awe of Liza P. in terms of. I don't know what previous games the studio's made, but I think this is their first attempt at making a Soulsborne game.
It's very high quality, and you can see that by the people who are enjoying it.
And you can tell that they've played Bloodborne, and you know that they've played Hollow Knight, just in terms of some of the references, etc., and so on and so forth. The musical score for the game, I've picked up a lot more records removable to play in the hotel foyer, which if you've lived in Asia, removable, or you've spent time there, I know. But if you go to hotels and coffee bars, etc., and the kind of records and the music that they play, and again, obviously there's the French songs and music motifs in the game itself, right? But those are commonplace kinds of tunes that you would find in a upmarket hotel or coffee bar in Asia. Yeah. So it's just phenomenal. Just now that the way that the world's I know you're probably not as far as me in removal, so I don't want to say too much, but it just gets better and better, and
as I said, it does. One of those things once you get past, it does seem to open up the further you progress. So
and just in terms of Hollow Knight, I'll definitely give it some more thought. But there's just been so many references to Hollow Knight in the game. It's really, really great, and I don't know how you feel about it, removable, but obviously it's that is a studio. I don't know what they've created, but as a first attempt in terms of what they're doing and what they're trying to do, I think it's brilliant, and it's in Game Pass, and I'd definitely put a garland around the studio for sure in terms of what they come up with next.
Exactly.
And they've been addressing the issues very, very quickly. As well.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I know the tweaks.
Yeah, to balancing and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that they're on top of it with regards to patches. Yes, it's quite good. That is.
It's just a fantastic game, and they play a lot of homage to the games that From Software have made. And so From Software have been at it for 20-25 years. This is their first one.
This is the thing. I don't. This is what's probably weirded a few people out, is that this is what they would classify as a classic From Software game. That's not From Software. So it's like, hang on. This they're not used to seeing probably From Software type games from other developers. Now if you're in the indie scene, you've probably seen
There you go. I've got armor.
Various attempts.
I've got Armored
Armored
Core
Core
Fires
6.
of Rubicon on the screen now.
Yep.
From Software Game.
It's one of those things that it's most people would they don't normally when you get a Dark Souls, it's like, well, it's never really is, it's not as good as the original, which is it's fair enough, but comparing them to, like, to the pinnacle of the genre is a little bit harsh,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think.
even removable, even in Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, people argue between which one's the best version
Exactly. Yeah.
out of the three of those, right? So yeah, if they can't agree on that, how are they going to, allow people to introduce and make and put a positive, not even a positive, but put a constructive spin on a game made by another studio?
You can see the influences with there, without a doubt, and it's tweaked the formula enough to be its own thing, but it's definitely it showcases off its inspirations, and that's also helped it probably cement itself within what I would classify as the Dark Souls fan base. They can see, as exactly like yourself, they can see the influences, they recognize the influences, they're happy with the influences, that it's been done well, whilst at the same time being its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, people comparing. I wouldn't say comparing, but if you like, Hollow Knight, you're probably going to end up liking, Ori, and the Will of the Wisps, which I think is a far
Yeah,
superior game.
exactly. Yeah, there's going to be vast different comparisons from different studios, and I think, to be honest with you, I think this is probably, it's from a fresh studio. Again, I think it's a fresh studio, and they've done a fantastic job. Just really well polished gameplay, really well polished, thought out mechanics that work well.
All built in Unreal.
Yeah. And it's one of those ones, I think, they've cemented themselves a potential for a new franchise here, I think.
Yeah, I'm no idea how how the game ends, but I'm really intrigued to see what they come up with next.
Mm.
And there's
So
always room for more good studios,
exactly.
especially from South Korea.
Yes.
You know, I had to
Well,
put that in there.
well, yeah, I know, but it's true though. There is some fantastic studios in South Korea. I'm looking for that blurb. Was it that Wulong one? Not Wulong. Black.
Black Myth Wukong, yeah, from China.
Yeah, Black Myth Wukong. Yeah, that one I'm looking forward to as well. It's the genre's exploding at the moment, and fair play to it. I want to see how it evolves. I want to see competition against From Software,
Definitely,
because I think there is potential out there for indie developers, and it's going to be pushed from the indie scene. And I think this is where the inspiration has come. I think people have taken on board the inspirations, and they're going to push, and it's going to keep pushing in and evolving.
Do you think it will? Do you think that game will come out on Xbox, or do you think it'll be like a PlayStation or like PC, or just come to PC? Because it's such a Black. Is it Black Wukong? I'm saying it wrong.
I think it's confirmed it's all platforms. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's good then.
Multi-format.
Yeah,
that's good then. That is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones. Again, I'm hoping it does really well. I hope it's got a tight combat to it. I think it would be silly at this stage for it to stick with one platform. I think what will happen is as a bit like Liza P, it will go to multiple platforms, and then it'll be a battle from the platforms themselves to try and make it exclusive for the second or third ones.
I think they are spending a considerable amount of time to make it sure it's not compatible specifically with Stubzgaming's PC. I think that's what's causing the delay. Yeah.
Sure, it'd be compatible with my PC, no problem.
I think the guy said there's a particular Rutland code. It's not going to work anywhere in that area.
No. Especially with your quick internet.
Yeah, it doesn't work with quick internet. That'll be it. It will be. It messes up with anyone over 100 megabytes a second. But no, access denied.
Have we actually covered all of the topics in your thumbnail? Because if you have, then that's cause for celebration.
Actually, we probably have actually.
Wow,
There.
it's the first.
Hang on, I'll just try and remember what was in the thumbnail.
I think we've done
Yeah.
all of them, haven't we?
Yeah, I did put game, but I didn't really, you know what I mean? But I'll just put it. I'm trying to get better at making thumbnails. They're a bit better than what I did before, I think. I don't know. It's coming up with topics ahead of time. And I try not to go for the news, gaming news, etc. Try and go for more games. People seem to prefer talking about games. They do, to be honest.
Yeah, our shows are typically amorphous.
Well, it's always good when Yakuza's mentioned. The 48-minute topic on Yakuza went down very well, and all the Yakuza fans that will be rushing to our Yakuza podcast.
As serious as the matter is, right? When someone raises the topic of Yakuza, the dichotomy of it is the fact that it just lightens the heart.
I never would, to be fair,
Is,
with that franchise, I never would have tried it.
Of the word, right?
If it wasn't for Game Pass, I probably never would know it existed, to be fair.
And it evokes the idealisms of Japan and the mysteries that it holds. So there's lots of reasons to discuss Yakuza, because there's just so much imbued Japanese culture. Well, for me anyway. I mean, I'm not going to speak for everybody, even though I love to.
Yeah, it has definitely got its own unique style and taste in it, hasn't it? I think it's been accepted worldwide.
Yeah, it's always, whenever you say something, it always just click something in my mind. You're right. It's got charm, it's got levity, it's got richness, it's got character, it's got personality, it's got all of those things, right? And they just bring it all together in just such a beautiful and subtle and sort of effortless, ethereal, and a homely, sort of welcoming and warmth kind of way that I just look forward to every entry. So I hope I'm not sort of like, over egging it there, but you kind of get where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm. I think, to be honest with you, regardless of what it is, gamers are really eating really good this year. I think we do generally, but this year is particularly well, especially with the variety of indie games coming out and the different countries providing different, their take on the different genres as well. I think it's getting better and better as time goes on, and it's one of those ones. I think it'll only get better with time. I think it'll, we haven't hit the peak yet. Thank God.
Well, there's a lot of games, definitely. The peak. A lot of games, to be fair, are moving out of the way. There's a lot of games moving into next year now because there's just too many. There is.
Oh no, I think that, as I said, as I mentioned, I think the delays.
It's a good thing.
They want to make sure that they're specifically not compatible with your PC, and I think Removable concurred.
That's probably it, I'm sure, but I'm sure my PC will run them. Don't play that many games on the PC, to be fair, but even though I have one.
You play a lot of tutorials on the PC.
Yeah.
So I know we've got like 20 minutes left for the show. Should we talk about Gears 6 and 7, perhaps?
Well, Indie Gamer wants to hear about VJ's opinion on Celeste and Ori and Will o' the Wisps. That's what he wants to hear.
Good old Kenneth Williams. I put back in the chat to him that I'll discuss those on his show. Give me something to talk about.
What we really want to hear about is the fact that for this, it's finally been announced that this year, for the first time ever, Stubbs is going to EGX.
Wow. Are you?
No, I'm not.
Oh, slander.
was hoping it might be a push, but it was like, no, ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. Oh, Stubsan.
No
Someone
comment.
has to get him to try and push him towards the EGX route. We'll get him there one day. We'll get him there one day. It's not exactly if he's going to be hard to miss as well. He'll terror over everybody else, you know.
I'm
This
not that,
7-foot giant just walking through everybody.
I'm not that tall. I'm 6 foot. I'm only about 6'3".
That's still bigger than everybody else that I'll probably be there.
It's not tall though. Really.
He says, towering over everybody.
Yeah, well, you think though, I was one of the tallest in my years at school, and I see some of the people I went to school with are now taller than me. Somehow. Don't know how that
Clearly,
works.
it's the growth hormone.
Yeah, Mass Mayhem actually is just to confirm for you, Indy. Mass Mayhem is actually taller than me, not by much, but he is.
Wow.
Well, that's because he has hair and you don't.
That's
High
probably it.
heels.
Yeah, that's so. In fairness, that's
Luke,
that's
I
what
do
it
know
is.
for a fact Luke is not 8'2". Luke's told me. But
Well,
like,
not
no.
in height, maybe in length.
But no, if anyone didn't know, I'll probably give you a bit of more review next week. But I've got Oculus Quest 1 at the minute. I've been setting it up today for my son, and I haven't really had much of a chance to have a go, but I had a go in the Oculus environment and it seems pretty cool. But I will report back next week about VR. I will.
Is this where we're gonna get pictures throughout the whole week of where you've destroyed half the living room because you're swinging around things?
What happens is you've got where you want to play VR, you set up a zone and it won't let you go out the zone. It will warn you and tell you. So say for instance you get in the way of somebody that's playing VR, it will make sure you can see them and it will warn you. There's someone there or there's an object so you don't fall. Like a safety thing. Where you draw the perimeter around where you want to play it. You do. But yeah, I'll report back next week. What I think of it.
You'll be taking all over the VR channels next. That'll be on.
Well,
Stubbs
to
is
be
VR.
fair, with the Quest, you can actually record gameplay. You can of you actually playing
That's
it.
what you need to do. Just record you going around in circles. That's all we need.
I know. Not completing the VR experience.
Doing the tutorial in VR. That'll be good.
Yeah, but it's surprised by getting it. Well, not getting it, but it's more for my son really because he's been talking about VR. We wanted VR.
That old age, actually. Yeah. This is just for the son, really.
Well,
just for the son.
It is. I wouldn't have got it otherwise. It was. But then if he likes that, we're going to be getting probably the Quest 2 for his birthday. Because apparently Game Pass is coming to that in November. So you can play game. Obviously, they're not VR games.
Are they quite expensive?
Oh, you're looking at about £300 for a pack. And the new Quest 3 that's coming out, that's about £500 or more. But that's.
Wow.
But it's a lot more tech packed into it. The PSVR 2 is £500. But you've got to have a PS5 for that as well. Whereas the Quest, you can actually run it purely off your phone. But if you put it on the PC, you can play Steam VR games as well. You can. I haven't done that yet. But I don't know a lot about VR yet.
But will you be playing Hollow Knight in VR mode?
I will see if I can. Just for Indie Gamer. Just to get that stats of a bit more than Removal Sanity, who's got 0 hours and 0 minutes and 0 seconds. I could not believe it. I was actually comparing my Xbox. Thought I'm going to go and look at Removable Sanity's stats on it. I was like, oh my god, he's not played it. I was like, I got a message.
Well, not on my Xbox.
I was like, at least I've played it. Yeah. Show me your stats on your family members' console.
No, I don't. Yeah, that's one thing I don't pass on. I don't have the permission either, because he uses that for his kids.
That's
but
fair
no,
I am joking.
An hour. I played for about an hour. because I said I wanted to. I think I mentioned it before on this show. I had mentioned before that it's one of the ones I wanted to try out, and he was playing it actually, so I was like, okay, I'll have a go. And it's just one of those games that I just know that I'm going to have to try and set time down for it, but I just haven't got the time. We are eating good as gamers. There is too many great indie games at the moment that take my precedent and need to look at. For instance, next week, EGX. I'll be at EGX looking at the
When is
amazing
EGX
indie
then?
games.
When is it? I don't even know when it is.
October 12th to the 15th.
Are you there for the 3 days?
No, unfortunately, I
4 days?
cannot be there for the Twitter. No, so Saturday and the Friday, I cannot go due to my partner is doing a night shift on the Friday night and the Saturday. So I'm looking after the kids. So it just means that I'm only there for Thursday, unfortunately.
An EGX flying him in. Like when he removed sanity to be there. So they're flying him in, paying for his hotel, and getting him there.
I know. Actually, I won't be staying there. I'll be just driving down there.
Goodness, you can drive
jumping on the train.
Oh, I was going to say, driving to
Yeah,
London.
well, you can actually. Well, we went down there with Tushi. Was it last year?
Broke down.
And he did actually drive down there and park in there. It has a really good car park there. So I didn't realise this, and it was dead in the car park. So to be honest with you, you could easily just drive down there and park in there. EGX's car park.
Tushi's quite experienced, so being a lorry driver that drives to
exactly.
London.
That's why I was happy for him to kind of drive, because he knows London better than I do. So
he does.
But for me, I'll probably just I'll jump on the train and get in there. It does mean that I'll be late. I mean, I'll probably leave here about 5.
Yeah.
Get there for about 8, which means that it's early bird, so I got an early thing, so I should be able to get in there for an hour early, which I think is 10. And then I'll probably finish up about 6 and probably get home for about 10.
So early bird gets you at 10 o'clock?
Yes, it's an hour early, effectively.
So what? It's meant to open at 11 o'clock?
I think it's either, I can't actually be sure, it's either 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, so it's one of those.
Most of the day's gone,
you get in there.
What the hell?
You get in there for about an hour early, which is great, especially on the Thursday, because if there's some big hitter games there, get those done first and then move on to the other games. So if you've got like a big AAA game that everyone wants to play, do that first, without a doubt, because I can guarantee you, the moment those doors are open, it will be like a 2-hour queue, 3-hour queue for some of these games.
Wow.
Fuck that. Fucking queuing up for fucking games that long. Can't believe people
go to one of these events if you can, Mr. Stubbs. It's a real experience.
I will go one year. I'll go with I'll probably take my brother and probably aim for next year, because I'll go with my the one you lot seen in the chat one day. Queuing, I'm very impatient. I won't be queuing for fuck all. I don't have the patience to queue for shit.
You have to. I'll tell you what now, if you've ever been to EGX, queuing is going to be part and parcel of it, because there is so many people there.
I don't have the patience for
you
that.
talk about once you're inside, not outside.
Inside. Don't like queuing inside, in general.
Yeah, if that was the case, then inside, if you can, do it on the Thursday. Get there early, get the early pass, and then you'll get in that hour early, and you'll be able to do the big ones. And then the rest will be much easier, just to
Still can't believe it opened. I still can't believe it opened so damn late. 11
it's because
why is it open?
A lot of the people are trying to set up still in those regards.
It just seems very late to me. It does.
They do like to.
I obviously.
There is. I think it's just generally because there's so many people trying. What's it called? Set up, and then you've got problems with the systems. Sometimes it's better as well. Also, too early. They don't always get enough people in on the very first day. Perfect for like Fridays and Saturdays, because you got to think about it. Thursday, most people aren't going to take a day off work for it. As much as they say they will, they're not going to take a day off work for it unless you're in the industry itself. Friday, you're more likely to take a day off because it's near the weekend. Saturday is going to be the pinnacle one because everyone will probably be there straightforward for it. So it's.
I've been to Euro when it was called Eurogamer, and it wasn't a big show like it is now. I've been, and it was straight in. There wasn't no the queues there is now, but there was for, all the big games, AAA games. But it wasn't a big show like it is now. It's just called Eurogamer. I mean, it really is still called Eurogamer now, but they just called it EGX.
Even when I remember when I was like that, it was like even when it was back. I've almost gone to every season.
Why don't they move it back? Why don't they move it back to Birmingham? They don't want to use
Birmingham was a nightmare. Birmingham was a nightmare. I've been to both, and I tell you what, the London one is definitely better. I know it's a pain in the ass for everyone up north to come down, but it's better. Birmingham one was effectively in a big mall, and it's. I just found it a nightmare to get to.
Well, you've got to account for your £12.50 now. Your ULED zone, the whole of London is in that zone now. So you've got to account for your £12.50 ULED stupid zone.
Well, if you drive anyway.
Yeah, you've got to account for that crap. Whole London now.
I'd say it's going to be a much better way. But I mean, back when it was back before prior COVID, you had to get there an hour early because even when you first started, when the queues outside would like wrap around the whole of the area. It was a nightmare. I mean, I remember, it was like a 10 o'clock opening. That was the early bird. I'd get there for 8 o'clock because I knew that by 9 o'clock people would be already queuing up. It was pretty hectic. It's not so much recently, but then again, I think that's because of COVID and obviously, the fact that a lot of the big hitters were like and ahhing whether they're going to continue doing the big live shows. I really hope they do. I really do. I said, we'll see what happens this year. I'd like to think it's going to get better this year.
Hopefully it does.
But we'll see. We'll see. To be honest with you, I think the more live shows we do, the more people come to these live shows, the better it's going to get, and it'll become back to what it was. It was like it's the pinnacle of gaming events for the UK, and I want to see it back to where it was, because I think we need these live shows, because these live shows are not just there for the gamers like yourself and me, but they're there to also meet up with mates. They're also they're particularly one of the 2 or 3 times you're going to meet up with someone from social media.
To be fair, I mean, if I went, that'd be the main thing I'd be going for, is to meet up with some of the people I know online, like Indy, Luke, you, etc. I don't think if you went for a day,
you know, the way he leaves out America.
Well, I'm not going to fly to America. Just, you know what I mean.
I'd love to go to some of the big shows in America. I just know for a fact that I probably will never get a chance to do it because it's so expensive.
Yeah, but if you're only going for a day to EGX, and that's what I would do, by the time you've queued up, got in at 10 o'clock, you wouldn't really have much room to do anything.
Well, this is why they're like they're 2 or 3 day events, so they expect you, to basically, use those days to do it. I think, to be honest with you, it's all about planning. You can get around a lot of the area if you plan carefully. That's what I do. I plan carefully where I'm going to start the games, which ones I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And then I finish off with the merchandise at the very last minute, because once you finish off the last half hour before it closes is perfect for merchandise, because they normally drop the prices a little bit.
Yeah, it is 4 days, but the vast majority of people, the highest percentage of people, just go for Saturday. But that's where all the main tickets are sold, is Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday's probably the easiest for most people. I think it's just because it's it's one of the easier days. They'd probably be able to easily book it off. Sunday's pretty good as well, for families, but I still think Saturdays was always the pinnacle one. Fridays was a mixture of industry insiders and the public, and then Thursdays pretty much influencers, content creators, industry insiders, publishers, with a smattering of public who are real hardcore fans who've taken the time off.
That's fair. That is.
But I would recommend trying it. I think you're, you'll be remiss if you don't go.
Well, I'm not. So there we go.
Clearly not a PC Master Race fan.
I don't play that many. Yeah,
You
I need to play more on PC, but I will go one day. I keep saying that, and then you keep telling me you say it every year. It's true. I play games every day. Indie game. I play Gears of War 6, Gears of War 5 every day.
Gears of War 6. There, you see that? Told you.
Insider.
He's insider. Yeah.
London though. Oh, it just puts me off. God, London. So fucking busy.
It's all right. It's
I'm not a city. I'm not a city person. I live in the countryside. You see, country bumpkin. You see.
It's put it this way. You're gonna see London for probably about half hour before you get there, and then you're never gonna see London again because you'll just be inside a big event area. Once that's done, you'll get like half hour back.
I wouldn't know where the Excel Centre is. Not a clue. No idea.
It is one of those ones, honestly. Once you've done it, it's nice and simple.
Sounds good, Luke.
The biggest problem,
sounds good.
The biggest problem is if it's
Few
going to be train
beers,
strikes or
walk round it.
maintenance works.
That sounds great. That does. That's aimlessly walking round. There we go. That sounds quite good. That does. They sell beer.
Honestly, it goes. I tell you what. Before you walk in, you think, "Oh, I'm just going to play this game. I'm just going to mess around with that one." Oh, maybe have a chat with a mate that's turned up, and before you know, it's like, "Oh, it's 6 p.m. It's probably time for you to go now." It's like, "Oh, crap."
No, to be fair, it probably would be interesting to go, but I'm not going this year. I'm not planning to.
Yeah, you said that last year.
I did.
Yeah. Does that mean that it's guaranteed for next year? Then guaranteed.
I'll be going. I should be going next year.
It's gone from "I'll be going" to "should" again.
Well, I'll see if I can get to go. I don't from my end.
Well, you should be able to get. Should be able to get trained down, wouldn't you?
Train, yeah. It's bloody expensive. A train is.
Why don't you just take?
Oh, trust me, I know. Right?
Yeah. Cheaper to drive, probably.
I thought you went by helicopter these days everywhere.
Well, he's quite witch. I tell you, I submit it would cost me about 30 quid train journey for West, and that was at Liverpool, near Liverpool Street. So
I got 30 quid from where you live. You must be living close to me then. Years ago, it was about.
No. Well, it was 30 quid from Bishop Stortford. So Bishop Stortford is literally is next to Stansted Airport. So that's how.
Oh, that's why you're close then, because I'm on the Stansted Airport line.
Yep. So then, but
so
I have to drive from where I live to Bishop Stortford. So my parents I live around there, and I basically just park up outside their house and then jump on the train.
Oh, that's last time I went London. It was through the roof. The prices are to King's Cross. I wonder how much that's going to cost.
Well, I would go for an all day travel card, because should things happen, like there's strikes or there's maintenance or something else is going, you have the ability to then circumvent the blocked areas and kind of get to it that way. So I always go for an all day travel card. if I'm just doing, if it's going to like that.
Yeah, it's a good 80 quid. It's a good 80 quid. 104 single from £80. So returns, yeah, that's that's ridiculous. That is.
This is where, in your case, it might be easier to just do, as you said, a hotel.
Oh no,
Close to it and then just go.
it's gone down a bit now. I've clicked on it. So probably on. Yeah, it depends what time you travel, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, I would get there early. You know, as I said, you can either, if you do what Indy does, which is basically buys that he puts himself up in a nice 5-star hotel, and then you know, close to the arena, and then just walk over. Bada bing, bada boom.
The early, but basically, if you want to get into London early, you're talking £80 one way. Basically, that's what he's saying. But it's London for you. It's only about an hour or so from me. From
London?
Yeah, an hour and a half on the train, an hour on the fast train from Peterborough. Because you can go to Peterborough or Leicester route.
Yes, I see. Yeah, you're going to be going from that point. Yeah, so
Or you could go from Leicester.
Is Leicester a direct line? If Leicester's a direct line, then you're probably.
It's a direct line from Peterborough to Leicester. Direct line from Peterborough to King's Cross. It doesn't stop.
Then go for I would in that case. Then definitely go, because for me, I've got to go to Bishop Stortford and I've got to go to the Underground, switch over about 3 lines, and then do the DLR, and then get there. So I've got a bit of a journey.
It's fair enough. Well, anyway, it's been a nice chat about that. I might go next year. I'm not going to say definitely, but who knows. But just because you don't go to gaming shows doesn't mean you ain't a gamer. Just to clarify that one. So, anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yes.
And thanks VJ for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Where can we find you?
You can find me here.
You ask this question every time, and he gives you the same answer. It's like
at Viewpoint Gaming on the platform X, and he's Mr. VJ in chat as well. Thanks for coming on, VJ. And Removal Sanity. Thanks for coming on.
Hello. Much appreciated. Thank you for having on. Again, it's enjoyable topics. Obviously, I enjoy having a chat with yourself and VJ. The fact that you put up with me is always a very, very thankful experience for me. For all those listening and watching, if you are interested in talking to me in any shape or form, you can find me on Minds, Twitter, or X as it's now called, or Twix as some people call it, YouTube, and Xbox under the name Removal Sanity.
Thanks for coming on. And if you've probably that wasn't Indie Gamer, you're right.
Where can we find you, Mr. Stubbs?
On stubzgaming on YouTube, stubzgaming on Rumble, and you can also find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere on podcast platforms. And Stubzcast will be returning soon with Judzilla interviewing me, and that probably won't be live.
Can we find your life-size portrait in the foyer of Windsor Castle?
No, but Stubzcast will be arranged. Judzilla's going to be interviewing me. That probably won't be live. I'll pre-record that. I get the questions beforehand that the community want to ask me.
What's your name? Where are you from?
They'll be full of stupid questions.
What's your favourite sandwich?
Otherwise, you see,
is your blood.
You'll get all sorts if you do it live. I'm not doing that. I want live. But
you panic a little bit live, do you?
Nah, just I've had it before, and you'll get people asking silly questions, not sensible ones.
Like, what sandwich is your favourite sandwich?
Yeah, you are right. They'll be checked by my PR team. Indie Gamer, correct. No, Judzilla will be asking me them all. when we finally sort it out. So yeah. Anyway, thanks everyone for checking it out. Indie gamer Luke Steele, who's actually on holiday in a hotel where you can have any drink you want. Any drink you name it, you can have it.
I like the sound of that. He better be having some nice drinks for me.
Oh, he is. I've seen some photographs. He's having some very nice drinks. He's
White Russian. Just think of it. What's the Bloody
anything.
Mary? That's
You
always
can
good.
have anything, he said. Literally. Thanks, Masuko, for popping in. And everyone else. There's been loads of people in chat. Bimber.
Pixel Slapper.
Pixel Slapper. Loads of people. Thanks for the support, everyone. And I'll see you next time. Next Monday.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.